You gotta watch it. Does it catch anyone? It gets rid of Club. Another crucial member of Classified is now down, but Chisakita comes alive.
That gets two beats only on themselves. They're going to get the touch here. It will force overtime. They just have to live long enough to have some help on the here, but they immediately lose their life first. And the rest of their team already two. Make it three numbers up. The crackers are down. The PP Plunderers can taste it. They're going to lock.
363 regular season matches. Over 600 players, 92 teams, 4 skill divisions, all in the search of one title.
These 8 teams have poured their blood, sweat, tears, their very hearts and souls into getting to this point.
The moment we've all been waiting for is finally here.
A journey that's been filled with triumph, with loss, with the anticipated, and with the unexpected.
From dominant performances to nail-biting tiebreakers, and every player putting it all on the line.
We have our underdogs, who've come out of nowhere and taken everyone by surprise. We also have top teams from previous seasons, coming back and looking to rewrite their story. They're now here, hungrier than ever, trying to learn from past defeats and ascend to the throne.
For some, this is a chance to make history. For others, it's to make up for the past, to make up for you're getting so close, but failing to reach it.
4 teams who have constantly fought to be the best in the limelight. 4 teams who have battled through the darkest nights to reach the dawn.
This is it, the final stretch, the battle for the title of champion.
The stakes are high, the competition is fierce. This is where legends are made.
One last gauntlet remains, separating these 8 teams from calling themselves champions.
Hello everybody and welcome to Tranquility Playoffs today. Today we're in the Discord share and we're watching the Louisiana Lobsters versus the Lucky Shots. It's going to be single elimination, first to 4. It's going to be some intense games today. What do you think, Hunter?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an intense game today because we've seen quite a couple different things with the brackets that have kind of already gone through the quarterfinals. Some of them, like when you kind of go look at the Harmony tier, everything kind of went to plan. But if you look at the Transcendence tier, things didn't quite go to plan. So we definitely have the possibility for some upsets. And you know what? Both these teams overall have had pretty successful seasons overall. Got to give them a lot of credit, especially when we look at a team like Louisiana Lobsters, who were second overall when it came to their record at map differential. You know, they managed to actually it's kind of strange because they got Well, I'm going a little crazy over here. Anyway, forget I said anything. They just had a really good season on them so far. Like, give them a lot of credit. But of course, you know, we cannot count out the other side, which of course is gonna be lucky shots. But I'm gonna be a little honest here. Like, I expect this to be close. I do fully expect this to be like that because we've had this trend so far where the 2-7 games just tend to be close for no reason whatsoever. They just tend to be some of the closest games, and I kind of just expect the same thing here today.
Well, I agree. I think these teams are going to be fighting for their lives here. You know, this is their last chance to make it to the finals and win this whole tournament. I don't think one team is necessarily going to crush another here. We've kind of already knocked out some teams that may have gotten rolled before, and now we're in the stage where these teams are very, very close in skill. So first to four, it's going to be intense. I personally think Lucky Shots is going to come out on top here. That's my personal prediction. I'm rooting for them, but we're just going to have to see what happens. Our starting map today is going to be Samoa. So playing on the newer map, definitely going to be odd to see here. Not a lot of teams have gotten 100% used to this map yet. So I'm going to be interested to see on what they're playing here. What do you think they're going to pull out?
Well, we obviously the Sigma comp is still very strong nowadays, but we have seen a lot of variance. And with the way Samoa works as a map, you do have the ability to run something like a Reinhardt or even a Ramatra in some of these instances. It kind of just matters how fast you want to take this fight. You can either play a little more pokey with that Sigma and throw a Sojourn on it, or you can get like very aggressive running the Mei alongside the Ramatra or the Rhine and just try to play before that Sojourn can kind of get her percentage really far up there and find a headshot. So I'm really curious what to see because teams at this level also like pull out a lot of comfort picks. So nothing is going to truly surprise me, but it is Samoa. I will just be very, very happy to see any form of brawl, hopefully.
Me too. I do see the Rhine coming out here against Sigma Comp. It's really between those two in my opinion. But if we do see that Rhine map, like you said, they're going to have to play fast. They're going to have to play fast rotations and kind of get to the positions where they want to be rather than stay on these high grounds where they can be poked out by a Sigma. So we're hoping that teams of this level, this Diamond and Masters level, will understand how to play against each other. And also, this better be a troll pick. They've got the Roadhog going on Lucky Shots. Roll it out. Let's do it. Let's roll it out.
There's absolutely no way they come out on the somber Roadhog. No shot. Oh my god.
Okay, coming out on the somber Roadhog. Well, alright, we're not quite used to this Roadhog rework yet, but we're just gonna have to see what Lucky Shots is gonna do with it. Maybe they're just trying to catch Louisiana Lobsters off guard here. I don't know. They're just gonna have to pull a hook in and just collapse on that person. That's the only way that they can play this, really.
Yeah, the unfortunate part here is that Sigma's kind of just a really good counter to go up against the Hog. But like you said, one lucky hook could be the spell between this fight ending and then just being pushed away. Because with that wall, we are going to see a tie in a really bad situation here. The rock doesn't quite hit, though, but we do see Andrew getting that first pick on a Sonic Void. It's going to be a nice hook over on to best picking, but it's not going to find any sort of pick. But right now, just the presence of this Hog alone is doing a lot. The problem is that with the rock, with that wall, it's so hard to stay alive in these fights, and this fight's just not ending either. They're drawing it out, which isn't bad, but they need to make something happen.
Yeah, Andrew managed to find a pick there, but with the Roadhog, there's just not much pressure on Lucky Shots. Or Louisiana Lobsters.
Honestly, I know you have the Hog ult. I know you have that ready to go, but I don't think this is the play. I love coming out here and trying something different, but I don't think you're going to get past this Sigma, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. Hog just does not have the abilities to make space for his team like Sigma does. Sigma has that shield, constant damage output from a distance, whereas Hog can just be essentially blocked by all of that. And then we see ults coming out from Louisiana Lobsters first.
Yeah, we did have a really nice cleanse there for a moment, but still Tyrex does still get frozen away. And once again, another quick fight. Again, I like the cooking, though. I love cooking in the kitchen. The problem is they burnt it down 2 fights ago, and now we're going to see them swap.
Yeah, it's looking like you just have to make that swap sooner. Now Louisiana Lobsters has 62% on this point, and it's going to be hard to come back from this with Louisiana having an ult advantage. They have ults over Lucky Shots, who are basically starting from scratch here. They don't even have their EMP ready.
Yeah, they're just going to be very aggressive with this TP. Likely going to go around and try to just set up a TP on the back line as soon as they come out during the center here. They are going to come out, just waiting for the right opportunity. That wall can be forced out very early, so that does open up a window for them to try to make something happen. But one good flux could be the beginning of the end here, as they're going to come through. The flux going to come up in the air. We're going to find that first pick onto the maid, though. The beat not able to come out online to be able to save Pyojin. And now we are to see Andrew come off, though. Daft going to be the first one to fall, just trying to shoot away on the side. Andrew found only the one so far, but we are seeing the overtime tick away. And while Kid Victory does manage to find a pick, that early advantage they got running this comp and the late swaps from Lucky Shots ends up being big decisive factors in this first round.
It really was just early advantage for Louisiana Lobsters there. They were kind of just able to snowball with the ults they had available. You saw after they won the first fight with Window, they could just come in with the Mei ult second and then win that fight. And then by that point, Lucky Shots had to swap. It's just a snowball from there. And we did see them try and make a play there at the end with the TP, but I don't know that they were aware that Vespa King had that flux online that just immediately messed up their team and allowed Andrew to rotate off and just take an angle on them. They were pretty much collapsed from there.
The problem is you kind of had to have known, mainly because like we went through that entire 99%. They never ended up using the ultimate. You just kind of have to assume sometimes if you're not all tracking well enough, or you just like lost track of it in general, sometimes you just have to make the assumption of we haven't seen it in a while, they probably have it. As we are to see Lucky Shots over on this Junker Queen comp, I do think this is definitely better than the Roadhog comp, but this is the one map where I actually don't know if this is the right call, as they're simply just going to rotate around the high ground. They want to try to get as close as they possibly can, so as long as Louisiana can kind of just keep outpacing them, keep moving away, Lucky Shots should have a really tough time trying to get there, as they're going to bring the aggression. They're going to go heavy with it. That shout coming out early, Thick Stick getting very low, having to force out the Immortality Field just to stay alive, and it is going to be a decent trade, but when you get the 2 picks right there from Kaio, it's going to really help make this fight decisive. Tyre just going to have to kind of die on the point here in a moment with plenty of health. I don't know. Yeah, they're just going to be dying on the point slowly and losing a lot of time in the process.
I can't say I dislike the technique that Lucky Shots had here, the strategy of just rotating fully around the point. Unfortunately, Louisiana Lobsters just saw it a mile away, and they did what they had to do on Sigma, which is just rotate out of it. And unfortunately, that leaves Sonic Void and Tigser with nothing to do. Can't get close to anybody. Sonic Void was just getting spammed out by Pyojin and Andrew. Just can't do anything there. So I kind of want to just see them match the Sigma comp here. Sigma comp is a tough one to beat, and beating it by just trying to rush onto them is clearly not working.
Definitely not on this map. This high ground, as we kind of seen like the few times we've seen Samoa, it is dominant to hold on to this position, and you only need to send one down to be able to contest the point, because Lucky Shots is just going to jump onto the point this time. Not even going to bother. They want people to jump down so they can just shout on them, speed on them, and try to take them out, because this is basically Final Fight territory where they're at right now. And Louisiana Lobsters still not to any of their ultimates. They're coming up close on that beat. The shout going to get aggressive, trying to find somebody, but Andrew going to be able to slide their way out of there right now. As Tyrex is going to go through, almost gets a swing on the Pyonju, and instead we're going to see the beat Sonic Void going to be the first one to be taken down. 85% and counting. Lucky Shots are in a tough wave right now, but Kid Victory batting another pick of their own, but they have to be careful. This flux could be the end of it, and everybody manages to avoid it. And now with that beat online, Kid Victory has found another. They need to be the one to help their team finish out this fight, as the overtime is going to come through. We eventually are going to see Thick Stick eventually go down. Andrew likely not too far behind us. Lucky Shots managed to barely bring that fight back, but they got a whole while to go still.
You have to give that fight to Kid Victory. They're able to find that pick when it seemed like all was lost there. Able to find that pick and let his team come in and do what they have to do. It was really looking like Lucky Shots was going to lose there. And we have a pause, so a little bit of time to discuss. Yeah. So I have to give that to Kid Victory right there. He was able to find that pick, able to actually find 2 picks there that allowed Lucky Shots to take that point back. It was looking like it was done there, and it was looking like it was done because they had rushed in without their Reaper. They had found their spot to rush in, but their Reaper wasn't with them, so they weren't able to secure a kill. When you're doing those rushes, you need like the teams are currently using a timeout, by the way, getting their stuff together, I suppose. But rushed in without their Reaper.
crazy. Okay.
Okay.
But,
Yep.
Yeah.
sorry. Prod stuff, guys. Prod drama.
NA prod. We didn't play enough Crunker Strike before getting in here today, unfortunately. Regardless of that, we are gonna go to a quick little break since we are on the timeout. So you know, we'll be there in a quick little second. So make sure you're ready to come back into this match because, you know, we could see the comeback. You know, it's possible, but I'm not really a gigantic fan of the comp from Lucky Shots, especially with that Reaper. So I'm curious if they're going to swap it up before, you know, we get into this next fight. But I also don't think they're in the opportunity to do so necessarily.
99 on the point for Louisiana Lobsters. It's gonna be rough to swap now. They're just gonna have to dedicate to this rush style, and maybe rely on their Genji to do so. So we're gonna take it to our 5-minute break. Stay tuned. Sorry about that. It's a timeout from one of the teams, and we will see you in 5 minutes.
Smash that.
Welcome back, everybody, to this matchup between Louisiana Lobsters and Lucky Shots, and we had a timeout at a very interesting time, so to speak. We're in the middle of a map right now, as we kind of just saw Lucky Shots finally win a fight, but it's 99% in the form of Louisiana Lobsters. Lucky Shots back, he's against the wall. They're going to have to do a pretty gnarly hold here to be able to hold on.
Yeah, and I want to see them do a full team rush like they're doing right now with that Kitsune coming out, but the Kitsune just isn't into the enemy team.
No way, and they're gonna invest really hard. I mean, they kind of have to, I realize, and they just need to try to catch them because they're 4 people that end up getting slapped with that anti. It's gonna be the back and forth right now. Kid Victory kind of has been the savior for this team, but guess what? Sonic Void can't even end up using the Death Blossom. So Andrew, after finding 2, this is just going to be a really tough scenario now where we see the overtime come back in. Not Brawny going to be the only one to be able to touch the point, and this is likely going to be their only touches. They're just going to come in and out to try to make it happen. They managed to get another one, so now Sonic Void, this is who it comes down to right now. They have this ultimate still, and they're stalling. It's a lot of stall. Sonic Void going to make it back. They're going to have to make this work, but they're just going to hide away. Going to try to find one in the background. They managed to find one, and they just need to try to come in on Pyongyun together. They get them. But with Sonic Void going down, you lose a big chunk of your damage. And right now, this fight can definitely go either way anymore. You eventually have Kid Victory come back on the Tracer. They're getting so low, but they're going to have that recall very shortly. If not, Brawny manages to help out with killing a little bit. This is definitely doable for Lucky Shots, but they have to come together on one target. And unfortunately, I think Louisiana Lobsters is finally getting their grip back. We were trying to see the stall come out over on the ball, but... Maji, right now this is just a slow bleed as we speak.
It really is. It looks like the Louisiana Lobsters have a little bit more coordination in who they're picking as a target. You know, coming out on the ball isn't a bad idea, but it's only really going to work if you can coordinate with your tracer to do an actual legitimate dive. Take advantage of the chaotic space of this point and try and do like a legitimate dive. Just keeping the touch going isn't going to win you the fight. So Louisiana Lobsters takes that first point, and I think a lot of that is due to a compositional difference. They're playing the Sigma comp and they're playing it properly. It's not allowing Lucky Shots to really get in at all.
No, not at all. And like Reaper was really good for a long time, but that was back in Overwatch 1, unfortunately, where you could kind of get away without being punished as heavily. But now with the way the game works, Reaper just isn't a character that comes out a whole lot anymore. Like, they were kind of useful back when there was like the Junker Queen Sojourn style meta back last year, but we're not last year anymore. We're not in that scenario where I think you can make Reaper work. Like, sure, it's an obscure pick. Maybe there's a specific map where it's good, but I don't think Samoa is that kind of map. So the main question at the end of the day is, what is keeping Lucky Shots from running the Sigma comp directly back? Do they just believe that they are not better at it, so they are just choosing to run something else instead? Or maybe it's just not something that's in their hero pools? Like, that's where my mind's drifted right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna assume that they just don't have a Sigma player. I do see a lot of teams properly playing Rhine comps and it being successful with their Rhine tank, but it just doesn't seem like they're that comfortable on Rhine either. They roll out on the Roadhog, and then when they think they need to switch up their composition, they kind of went to the Junker Queen instead. So it seems like they're not comfortable on either Rhine or Sigma. I would like to see them come out with the Sigma, maybe just try and match it, give it a shot, because it looks like Louisiana Lobsters is not going to budge from this. Maybe if we take it to something like Kings Row or a map where a lot more teams are playing Rhine, we might see the Rhine Brawl and see them maybe come out on top there. But as far as for right now, I just want to see them on that Sigma comp, you know?
Yeah, I really do. Like, I realize some people might not like the Sigma versus Sigma style with the meta that we've had as of recent, but it is still a very good comp to run. It's still one of the strongest comps to run, even though we kind of have started to see variations come out here and there. Again, it just looks like it's a situation of comfortability, or maybe like some teams do this where they will have like a map or two in there that don't get chose that often, where they kind of run kind of a different style, or sometimes even chaos style, where it's something that the enemy team is not going to be expecting. So it's a bit of a gamble, and unfortunately, if that was a gamble, it did not pay off. So I'm curious what they're going to be cooking here, because there are some interesting decisions being made here as we'll be going into our next map. Of course, this is the choice of Lucky Shots, and they're going to be bringing us to Midtown here in a moment, which a little bit of an interesting pick. Midtown is a very hard first point to break through, like, especially if you just kind of just went through a situation where you just got 2-0'd and it unfortunately wasn't that clean either. I don't know, this might be a really rough situation to walk into.
Yeah, Midtown is one of those interesting maps where you can play a lot of different things, but the thing that I'm interested in as to why they picked this is that Sigma is very strong on Midtown. It is a Sigma map. You can play Sigma on this map, and if you are kind of struggling to play into Sig, I'm not sure why this would be the map pick, but maybe they're just gonna pull out the Sig here. Maybe they believe that, or they, you know, Midtown is not an only Sig map. You can also play Brawl on it. So if they just think that they can play properly on Midtown with their Brawl comp into the Sigma here, then that might be it.
Yeah, they have to have something cooking in the kitchen, because while we don't really have any swaps on one side of the table, we do have some swaps over on the side, I believe, of Lucky Shots, because we're going to have Misted coming in for Sonic Void. In fact, Misted is actually going to be moving on to the tank in this situation, so I don't know what to expect here. I'm hoping it's just the Sigma style comp. That's what I think is going to happen, but once again, this opens up the door for chaos. Like, Ball's not the worst possible pick you could have here. It's kind of awkward with that first choke, but again, teams like to make stuff work. They have their preferences, and I've definitely seen worse comps before and somehow still work, so hey, why not go for it? I'm curious, but ooh, now this I like.
Yeah, now this I like. Okay, this is gonna allow Lucky Shots to maybe actually get on top of this Sigma comp, but with the addition of the May wall, it will also help them get in even more. You know, we saw the Sim TP on Samoa, and of course, it was only one fight. You can't really say, oh, Sim TP isn't gonna work, because it didn't work on one fight. But having the May is like extra assurance that you'll have a little bit more protection while trying to make that TP, as well as after making that TP. So also to note on Louisiana Lobsters, they are of course playing that Sigma comp, but they are doing it with Chio on the Iliari, which I think will be interesting. Extra damage, kind of hard to break through on Midtown.
Yeah, and you don't necessarily need to have the Lucio because you're not the ones trying to rotate. You were just simply to hold on to these strokes, and when you have the extra poke with Kyo on the Iliari, I think that is what's going to work out better, as we're going to see the TP going to bring them over to the left side room, where they're likely just going to wait it out here for a moment as they're going to head. They are going to wait for a moment. Make sure they have all their cooldowns ready to go. Eventually going to get aggressive. Imagine with another TP, try to find either Thick Stick or Kyo in a certain position, as it's actually going to kind of mess up. They're still going to commit, though, onto the brawl. Just going to try to chase down these members, as right now, Louisiana doing a really good job of just zoning them out. But Tyler's still going to find Andrew to start things off here, but Kyo manages to find a pick on the Jaffa to be able to even things back up. And right now, Lucky Shots just need to come together on a target. Besiking, I don't know if that's the right target to go for right now, especially as Pyogene eventually going to find Kid Victory. The Sigma is a really tough tank to take down, and right now we're just seeing a heavy investment in taking them down, and it is not paying off in the slightest. So Lucky Shots gonna have to go back to the drawing board, as Maji, they need to pick another priority target outside of the Sigma.
I mean, Pyojin was just in their team that entire time. I believe that was a Pyojin 4K or even 5K right there. He was just jumping around inside of their team while they're looking at Vespa King. I have to say, I think they might have wanted to switch targets to Pyojin instead. Also, we're seeing another pause perhaps coming
Boy.
on the side of...
Yeah, it's on the side of Lucky Shots.
On the side of
and
Lucky Shots, yes.
yeah, I don't know if that's going to be an official timeout again, or maybe someone is just having connection issues. We did have a new person come in, so there is always the possibility of that happening. But the main thing I kind of want to see from Lucky Shots is, I've already kind of brought it before, they had a good idea running this Ryan Symmetra style, and it can still work, but you need to go after somebody that is not the Sigma. Like a tank in general, you're going to have a very hard time burning them down unless you invest a lot of cooldowns. And we saw them invest a lot. They had the pin, they had the wall, and yet they never went down. They just kept sinking damage into the Sigma, and all that's doing is just feeding the supports their ultimates. So I'm pretty sure both of Louisiana's supports are already getting like decently close to their ultimates.
Yeah, especially Bap, Iliari, those are both supports that get their ultimates incredibly fast. And having your ultimates before the enemy team is just a key part of winning this game. So also I'd like to say, I agree, they're picking, it seems like they're ready and willing to rush, but when they do rush, it doesn't seem like they actually succeed in the kill. They don't actually secure the kill. And that's surprising to me because Louisiana Lobsters has 3 different heroes that are a possible target. Iliari can be hard to go for the first target because she can just get pocketed by Bap and then vice versa. But going for that Sojourn is always a good first target. You can kind of separate her away from her team, and in the ideal situation, she either doesn't have slide or she uses her slide incorrectly, and you guys are able to finish her off. So there are targets that they can go for here, but it looks like once they're calling a target, they're calling a squishy, they go maybe secure that kill, but once it's done, seems like they're floundering a little bit. And like you said, they just resort to putting damage into the Sigma. When really, I think during that fight, they should have been looking at Pyojin, who was just in their team, you know? Taking care of that really quick, should have been calling Pyojin, you know, or not his name, but Genji. Just trying to get one of the squishier targets first, rather than just sinking damage into that Sigma, like you were saying.
Yeah, like that is kind of like the benefit that Louisiana Lobsters has with this composition, where most of them can just get out of a sticky situation, and that's the convenience of going up against this Ryan Symmetric comp. It's very easy kind of just to get away from it when the TP comes out, as long as you kind of go about it correctly. But while we are going to let them quickly make sure their shop is settled, we are going to take a quick look at the bracket here before us with the final 8 over here. both had a relatively good season overall, so that relatively should be the closest matchup. I mean, I know that's the very lazy answer, I realize, but I do think, like, with what we've seen so far from these teams, I think that's 100% the closest one. But we are eventually going to get back. Issues are fixed. Misted gonna be back in on that Reinhardt. Lucky Shots, gotta make it work this time.
Yep, I want to see them just do a quick, speedy rotation with some burst damage. Just mow a target down. That's what you want to see on Reinhardt. Separate a target and mow him down. And there's the TP already. Let's see if they can secure this kill.
There's a small chance they just come out here and just use the window to buy a bunch of space, honestly. So here they are. They're going to come out temporarily, just cause some chaos on the point. The Flux going to come up. I think they caught some people on the inside, but that Immortality Field going to help people stay up. But Misted actually ends up dropping. Just kept hitting the fire strikes away and not really utilizing their shield to the best of their ability. So now Lucky Shots are just going to be drained one at a time. Unfortunate for them in that situation. Louisiana Lobsters only having to use the one ultimate to win that fight. And right now, I don't know. It's already a really tough situation for Lucky Shots.
Right here, we're seeing the disadvantages of sim TPing into that room, right? The idea of TPing into that room is getting yourself at a vantage point where you can, 1, TP on somebody else, or 2, have them walk in on you. Louisiana Lobsters isn't falling for that. And then Andrew and Chio can just rain down on them, but Chio gets a little over-aggressive and gets taken down. That's a big pick for Lucky Shots.
Yeah, a little overzealous right now, but Dafa gonna be the first one to go down as the B is going to get invested as well. It's really down to Pyeongjun if they decide they want to invest with the Blade this fight, but I think you want to give it an extra tick right now if you really do want to go for this, because you are going to have Thick Sticks back ready, and here comes that Blade up top. Gonna go for it, but they just get annihilated, and that's gonna be the fight win for Lucky Shots. They're still going to have a somewhat decent time on the clock, but, you know, we did see at the end there, they did invest the freeze as they kind of just insta-killed Pyeongjun, so kind of an unfortunate situation with the freeze.
Yeah, I mean, you could say it was worth it because Pyeongjun could have come back with that, but, you know, they kind of traded ultimates for it. Both teams kind of made a mistake there, and it is what it is. But kind of Lucky Shots, I'm going to be honest, might have gotten a little bit lucky there with Chio just getting super overzealous with the ult and then getting picked as he's peeking right in front of that little room. It just wasn't the greatest idea, and unfortunately just opened the door for Lucky Shots right there.
Ooh, and this is a great transition as Vespa King, they just kind of sold them on the ground and decided, hey, let's kill that guy right there. And in fact, they're successful in doing so. So now Lucky Shots are in this beautiful scenario where they're kind of untouchable on the low ground here right now, so I think they're just gonna commit here for a little while. And they managed to find the pick on the Thick Sticks as well, so that's even worse as we just see people on top. And with that wall right there, that's actually beautiful. Problem is they have to make sure that cart continues to move. They're going to do so, but Louisiana Lobsters still in a position here when that wall goes down to take back this point. That TP is gonna force them off the high ground. This is the kind of coordination we want to see out of Lucky Shots, and now we're hoping for a good shatter. Perhaps not even necessary. The Flux going to come out, is going to catch onto one member. Going to be able to stay alive thanks to that Immortality Field as well. Getting very low as the shatter comes through. It's going to catch a member or two. We are going to see the pick come through for Andrew, but it's Lucky Shots coming away with the advantage for the time being. But right now, they're trying to stay on it. But that cap did come through, so Lucky Shots getting their act together a little bit, and with 3 minutes on the clock, they're actually set up in a decent position now.
This is exactly the kind of play you want to see from a Rhine team, right? They were able to snowball a little bit there because they saw somebody and caught them out, ran on it, and dedicated. And that happened twice in a row for the Louisiana Lobsters. Somebody was just out of position, they got picked. That's exactly what you want on a Rhine Cup. Get somebody separated from their team and just annihilate that person. Pound them to the ground. So hopefully, now we're going to see an Orisa swap. Not exactly sure how that will affect the Lucky Shots here.
I think the bigger effect is Pyeongjun over on that Bastion now. And in fact, they're going to invest a lot back and forth into this fight. That freeze is going to manage to catch over onto Thick Stick, and that is going to be an unfortunate loss for them. A lot of healing going to be down the drain. And in fact, if you can find the shot onto Andrew, that'd be devastating, as they're not going to escape. Managing to hit them with the icicle at the very last second. Lucky Shots, 2 minutes left. They have a chance to cap here with a pretty good amount of time.
Ego duel was really, really bad for the Louisiana Lobsters. Andrew thinking that he can take on Tykser here, but unfortunately falls there. Now they're going to have to push kind of late.
Yeah, and Andrew just trying to find something with his overclock. Eventually going to find Kid Victory. Getting low on the side, but right now, again, Lucky Shots need to come together on one, and they're starting to bring the fight back around, trying to get away, missed it as they're going to keep pushing on the point. 1 meter left to go, as it's just a massive stall from the supports trying to make something happen, but Lucky Shots, for what ended up being a really rough start on that first point, still end up capping with 1.5 minutes in the time bank. You got to be pretty happy about that if you're Lucky Shots.
Yeah, that is not shabby at all, 1.5 minutes. That means if you can manage to stretch this out, even if they full cap in overtime, you have at least a draw under your belt. So that's great news for Lucky Shots here. And I just want to say, they did a great job picking up their game in the latter half of that game. They started understanding their win cons, and then they took those opportunities. Of course, I think Louisiana Lobsters was making some mistakes there that put them in the situation that Lucky Shots can just snowball. You know, I'm not exactly sure what had Vespa King on the floor on that second point, but that just led to a ginormous snowball. And Lucky Shots is coming out with a very unique composition here. The Far Mercy, oh, it's a little cheesy, guys. It's a little cheesy. With the Bastion, Orisa, Bap. Oh, I would not want to play against this in comp.
Yeah, there is one unfortunate scenario we're going to see, though, with Louisiana Lobsters. Andrew looking like they're going to start over on the Bastion of their own, which, you know, it's not necessarily the best, like, full-on hit scan you could have in this scenario against the Pharmacy, but it's definitely someone that's going to be able to output a ton of damage. So, I don't know. I think Tykser and Daff are going to have a little bit of trouble in the sky, but as long as you can shut down Andrew, I think you could remain pretty dominantly up there. You just have to make sure you don't lose Brawny or Victory in the meanwhile.
Yeah, the Far Mercy on this map kind of has a good place. He just bombed himself. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But the Far Mercy can kind of play over that train or the subway station and just kind of peek and unpeek and be a little bit safer. The Bastion's just going to have to use a lot of burst damage to take this Far Mercy down.
By the way, 60% already. Just want to point that out. They find the final blow, the direct onto Pyeongjin, and just like that, 80% and counting. They're just going to try to get aggressive here as well. Are they going to... There's no way they're going to eagle it, right? They're not going to eagle the barrage with 92 already in their belts. They're not expecting it either. They certainly don't know. And they want to. You know they want to do it. But instead, they're going to back out, give up a little bit of space. Make sure they have their fifth before they go back in. But this barrage already loaded up and ready to go.
Far Mercy is just really tough to beat on this map. Apparently not! Apparently not! I take it all back! Far Mercy can play around these buildings, but with a little tiny mistake like that, Andrew is able to take them down, and it looks like Louisiana Lobsters is going to be able to snowball this.
That is a very unfortunate scenario. You get that barrage super quick, and the problem is, now that we're going into the second point, it's going to be so much rougher to run the Pharmacy because you're way out in the open. You can't play a choke where you can hide behind walls as efficiently. So I'm really curious how long they're going to try to make this happen after they end up using the barrage.
Yeah, I think they're just going to have to barrage and swap. Louisiana Lobsters has Andrew, and they have Pyojin on the Echo now. It's just 2 counters to the Far Mercy, and like you said, Farah has to play out in the open here. Not nearly as many buildings to play around, so I would like to see them swap to maybe the Bastion, or not the Bastion, apologies. I don't know, maybe like a Sojourn, double hit scan it, anything for the damage.
Ooh, they have to use the B a little defensively there to make sure they stay alive. The window on top of them. So Louisiana already using 2 into the fight, but it looks like it is inevitably going to pay off. We are going to see that barrage come through, and it's going to catch on to the copy, and that is going to be it. Best case, you know, you force that out, but now I believe is that time for at least Tyrex to kind of swap over. But maybe you still use the Valkyrie for this fight, honestly? Nope.
Swapping to the BAP. The BAP is kind of necessary for this comp, so I don't blame them. But coming out on the Mei, Sim, Ryan, what worked for them before should work again. Let's hope. But this Sigma Bastion combo is deadly.
Yeah, but they do manage to stay alive, but they have to back out now. It's just too much right now as Louisiana kind of just running this down. Lucky Shots who looked like they had something kind of cooking over there on the first point. Now Louisiana Lobsters with 5:15 on the clock right now. This is a ginormous time bank to work with.
Yeah, if I were the Lucky Shots right now, I would just be working my hardest to get a good, solid regroup in. Maybe try and get ults out of Louisiana Lobsters. Now they're on even playing field ult-wise. So I could definitely see a Lucky Shots coming back here, but really the goal for this point should just be stalling it out. Of course you want to win, you don't want them to push it fully, but to at least get them to overtime would give them a huge advantage. Tykser finds Thick Stye here.
Yeah, that's going to be a very big advantage for them in this situation. In fact, they kind of flipped around the point as well. So losing not Brawny, not your best situation, but that Mortality Field going to keep Misted alive long enough to be able to turn this fight back in their favor. Ends up working out well, and in fact, we kind of have Pyongjin in the back, dying slightly late, so that is one fight done for Lucky Shot, but they have at least half a dozen still in front of them.
Love TP call by Lucky Shots there, kind of coming up behind them. I don't think that Louisiana Lobsters were really expecting that, so Lucky Shots took advantage of an early pick and stopped the cart. It's very, very important to stop the cart, kind of stop this snowball and get some ults going. We've got 89 for 2 ults on Lucky Shots. Bit of an ult advantage now.
Yep, and I imagine they're going to use the window here aggressively as it comes out right then and there, but no Fire Strikes ready to go for Misted as they're going to maybe try to flip this map around, but Pyongjin still going to go down first anyway. So now this is the choice from Louisiana Lobsters. They kind of have this back high ground area. I think they just kind of just hold here until Pyongjin gets back.
Yeah, that was an excellent window by Dafa there. Caught actually Pyongjin out, and a lot of the times you just see teams full rotate out of that, but unfortunately Pyongjin was just on the other side of the cart and couldn't rotate out properly, so caught that window perfect. Oh, the flank shatter, there's the flank shatter! Oh, but the wall makes him miss his pin!
But still, the damage is very much done already. As long as Mystic can kind of just stay alive, hold the shield up, things should end well for them, but it's so much damage, the shield eventually dropping. So many low, but we are going to see them pull back, except for Tyxer, who is going to drop, and now Lucky Shots are the ones on the back foot because now they just have that beat. I think you just have to back up and just try to invest for the corner coming up here.
Yeah, the moment you see Tyxer fall there, you just have to back out. Tyxer got maybe a little overzealous trying to get the ult, maybe, but wasn't really with his team. But Lucky Shots is gonna... the charge? The pin? Maybe a bit of a mistake pin? But Lucky Shots uses the beat.
You know, I appreciate the ambition, give you that much, but now there's a Flux that's ready to go down in your face here momentarily, and nobody's going to survive this as they're going to bring it up. 2 members caught. It's the last 2 alive, and just like that, Lucky Shots in desperation mode to try to touch this point now, but it's going to take a lot as Misted comes out on the side. The wall not going to stop them, but all that damage pouring into them, not able to get to the point in time. Louisiana Lobsters also finished the map with a slightly higher time bank of 217. So both of these teams with a pretty successful offense, and now they need to pull it off one more time.
Yeah, Louisiana Lobsters, I would be happy with that, 40-second advantage in the time bank, but Lucky Shots can definitely still come back from this, even with a smaller time bank. I really do think part of that was Lucky Shots making some mistakes there at the end. And it's really unfortunate. They had managed to stop the payload, they had ult advantages, but then they kind of threw it away a little bit. Their Mei got picked a little bit too soon, and then when they tried to back up, they just got rolled a little bit. They re-engaged, missed it maybe a little bit too fast, and just got shredded. So I feel like they really could have held that. Unfortunately, things happen. You just make mistakes sometimes. But Louisiana Lobsters coming back out on the Sigma, same comps on both sides. Lucky Shots did pretty good on this comp, so I'm excited to see if they can pull it out here and maybe win and even out the map score.
Yep, and since they ended up having the lower time bank, they of course are going to start on their attack, so this didn't work out too well the first time. I think you kind of brought it up before. They kind of were in a lucky scenario where Kyo, unfortunately, kind of got caught out on the Iliadi, but now they're on the Lucio, which means that Louisiana is going to play a tighter style. They're going to try to all play together the best that they can, just try to meet Lucky Shots on these transitions, on these TPs, so you see them go into the room and set one up, see it come through, bring them directly to the room, and they baited it! They baited it! But is it going to work out is the question. They already have to use the Mortality Field to keep Misted up alive. You're going to have a trade out and you get rid of Andrew, so this is still a winnable situation because you cut a lot of Louisiana Lobsters damage away. And with things evened out, it's a good situation for Lucky Shots. Here's the unfortunate part. They lost their tank, but Vespa King still in it, still getting a ton of picks. That's an unfortunate situation for Lucky Shots.
Yeah, I did like that play, faking the TP, then running in. It's just really unfortunate that they lost Misted there at the beginning, and then Louisiana Lobsters was able to have Vespa King to sustain and also get kills there, so I can't say I hated the play. I did like the play, and it seemed to work, but they couldn't really follow up on it without their tank.
Yeah, unfortunate situation. This is going to be likely last fight territory as we're going to see what they can do. Stick above the point right now. Tyrex is going to be the first one to go down. Immortality filled out right now. They're just in a corner right for the picking. That rock, I think it caught on to multiple people. I'm not entirely sure. But with that, now 12 seconds left to go. Lucky Shots would, no pun, be very lucky to get a final touch on this point.
Oh, and another rock. Vespa King's rocks are just on. Like, this is ridiculous. And with that flux, I don't even think they're going to be able to touch here. Yep, and there it is. Lucky Shots, the idea was there. I think maybe what they could have used was a little bit more sustain. A little more, you know, relax. Like put the brakes on for a second. TPing and running in works to an extent. But in some of those cases, when you're playing against a team like Louisiana Lobsters, it'll mean you just lose your tank super early. You guys are full dedicating trying to run into this enemy team. That leaves your tank vulnerable to a bunch of damage from a team that has a May and a Bastion. So that was unfortunate for the Lucky Shots. We're just gonna have to see what they do. They're rolling out on the Far Mercy again, and
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
You know, I don't blame them in the slightest, because at this point, it's kind of the right call. Like, you proved that you could kind of make it work a little bit. It just ended up being a really rough situation when you kind of just get picked out. So this is their best shot. They're going to try to make it work. And as long as you kind of get the start that you had before, you do have a shot at this. You just have to learn when you're getting in too deep and when you're taking it too far. Because you lose one fight, just like that, you're going to be down 2 in the series. And no player wants that.
Yeah, agreed. And Louisiana Lobsters is going to be coming out on their Bash in May. They're not coming out on the Echo, so I don't think they're expecting it. Maybe with that kind of unexpected element, they did just rocket them at spawn. So there's no unexpected element anymore. They swapped to the Echo. I think maybe they should have kept their cards in their pocket a little bit longer there. But like you said, if they can get a good, strong early start here, it could work out in favor of the Lucky Shots here.
Yep, and right now, we're just seeing Lucky Shots play a little bit back, using a lot of their cooldowns early on here, as Tykes are going to find Kyo to be able to start out this fight. So now you lose that mobility, you lose that ability to kind of move around the map, and I think you do have to just wait until you get Kyo back to invest in this next fight, but Tyrex just going to give them a ton of more time to poke away and get this ult.
Yeah, I mean, Tyrex is just kind of being a terror right now. Tyrex the Terror. It is kind of hard to break through this, and maybe we can even say that it was a lucky pick from the Louisiana Lobsters that won them the first fight, but the bomb finds Kid victory there. Lucky Shots is down their Bastion.
Yeah, and Naparani has no choice but to use this window, eventually being taken down by Pyongyun. And while the pharmacy is doing a lot of work, I don't think Tyxer is going to be able to bring this one back. The barrage getting close, very close, but unfortunately, gonna get dragged out of the sky. Louisiana Lobsters going to be going up 2-0 in the series. Lucky Shots proving they got a lot of comps to pull out, but right now, none of them working on the Lobsters.
Well, the Louisiana Lobsters, they played that correctly.
Yeah.
When a team pulls out a Far Mercy, you kind of just have to run into the rest of the team, essentially. Be like, throw the Far Mercy to the wind and just run on the rest of the team. And after they found Bastion, it was pretty clear that that was their plan. So they successfully executed running in on that core, finding that core, killing them, and then the Far Mercy was just scraps at the end there. So I don't blame Lucky Shots at all for playing the Far Mercy. It could have worked, but I think Louisiana Lobsters was just a little bit too prepared to play against it with their Echo. And unfortunately, Lucky Shots loses there.
Yeah, unfortunately so, but I like the fact that they're willing to try these different comps, because it kind of became abundantly clear that they are not very comfortable on the Sigma style comp. That is very clear at this point, so I don't think we're going to see it in a situation unless it is just pure desperation, like where you're just back against the wall, you try to mirror back. That's definitely a scenario where it could come out, but I think we're going to see that Ryan style throughout a good chunk of the rest of the series. But that is good for one reason, because while we haven't decided which map quite yet, we do know that Flashpoint is going to be next. And if there's one thing that works on Flashpoint, it's definitely a fast brawl type style. But that's where the question comes in. Do you go to a more popular map like Suravaso, where the Sigma is still kind of dominant on that map, or do you go for a map like New Jung City that's going to have tighter points and corridors, where I think you're going to end up getting a lot more value from something like the Reinhardt, potentially like the Symmetra as well? And if I am over on the side of Lucky Shots, you definitely want to lean over towards the side of New Junk City.
Yeah, and it looks like they have picked New Junk City. And I would agree. I think that is the choice here. We saw them play a little bit of the Junker Queen, so I wouldn't doubt it if they want to pull out a full Junker Queen rush. As well, they did have a sub, Sonic, in for Kid Victory. So we might see them playing the Reaper rush. Maybe the Reaper's coming back out here. And I will say Reaper rush is a viable strategy. You know, it's not impossible. And like you said, New Junk City is best for rush. Sigma can be played on this map. It is possible. But it's not necessarily ideal for a lot of the mini maps or the mini points, you know? But there are some where it is really good. You know, there's some where there's the bridge where you can just sit up on it and camp a Sigma, and then there's one where there's multiple high grounds, and again, you can just sit up and camp on Sigma. So I'd like to see what exactly is going to go down here. I think this is Lucky Shot's opportunity to come in and grab a map win.
Yeah, I honestly think like the Reaper pick is kind of a big toss-up here, because here's the thing, if you are holding on to the point to begin with, the Reaper is going to be very convenient, but if you're trying to push onto the point with that Reaper, I think it is a significantly tougher scenario, because if you're in a situation where you have to invest one of your cooldowns just to get into the fight, like using that Ray form, the moment you're out of that, you become target number 1 for Louisiana Lobsters, so I would genuinely be shocked. Is Sonic Void going to be over on the Symmetra? The question comes, though, are they going to stick with the Symmetra, or are they just TPing out their team and heading over, perhaps over to the Sojourn? That, you know, be interesting to see, but I think this team knows the style, and I think they're likely to just stick on the Symmetra instead.
Yeah, I'm interested in what Louisiana Lobsters has going on over there. It's like a fusion between the Sigma comp and a Rush comp. If they do end up keeping that. Okay, Andrew's back on the Sojourn, and Keo back. Okay, Chio's back on the Lucia. So a normal Sigma comp. But Lucky Shot's just running the Rhine comp again into the Sigma comp, but it might serve them a little bit better here on the New Junk City map.
Yeah, but they do have to take these fights a lot quicker right now. You don't want Andrew to be able to build up towards the railgun. You don't want to get headshots. We're seeing the aggression come through. Misty gonna go for the pin and finds their way onto the low ground. Not sure if Keo just kind of hit a nice little boop, as we're seeing Lucky Shots just kind of try to cap the point if they can. But we do see Louisiana kind of bringing a lot of pressure. That wall actually very interesting, but they're barely going to touch in time. So now Lucky Shots doesn't even have the ability to take this point and then just stall it out. They're just going to get burnt away, and it does actually, I don't know how it manages to flip, but they are going to manage to gain a small amount of percentage, just trying to survive for as long as they possibly can. You are going to get a solid, you know, what about 18% on this point? 19, well, sucks to be me, but still, it's fine. You build up ultimates, but you really would have liked to cap that 20% for the year.
Yeah, I don't think the 20% is really worth trading out your Reinhardt so soon. As we can see for the ult charges, Louisiana Lobsters just has much more ult charge on their tank than Lucky Shots, and I think dropping to that low ground on Reinhardt was just not the right idea. You have to be looking up and trying to hit people above you, but a TP across the map to get them in a better position is not a bad idea here.
Yep, not at all. But Hyunjin actually ends up dropping. I'm pretty sure I thought they saw the cooldowns to survive, but unfortunately, still going to be taken out as Lucky Shots. The job is not done though. They are still surrounded on the high grounds. Dafa in a tough scenario where they are in fact good. Oh my god, Kyo just pulled the assassination attempt, went down or got Dafa more so, and in fact the beat's going to be used by Lucky Shots. They're going to hard invest into this fight in a 3v4 scenario. The freeze as well. I don't think anybody's being caught in that. You do manage to get Vest picking over on the side, but Andrew manages to find Misted before anything can really happen. Lucky Shots likely in a scenario where they're just stalling it out a bit longer. Gonna have to reset, set up for point 2, because Louisiana Lobsters really effective in shutting down this Rhine comp.
Yeah, time after time, we're seeing Lucky Shots make an appropriate first play. You know, push in with this teleporter, find a target, and they did. They found Pyojin. But I think the problem is that they're rotating to point too soon. What can Rhine really do on that point, right? He can't really swing on anybody, and Sojourn can just take almost every hero on Louisiana Lobsters can tank an angle on that. And unfortunately, Dafa not being totally with his team means that he dies no matter what. So I'd just like to see the the Lucky Shots come out with like more plans after their first. And the Blizzard comes out catching Dafa. Dafa is down. So is Misted, and it's just a snowball from there.
I'm becoming less and less of a fan of the Symmetra at this point. The style can work. The problem is, when you do the TPs enough, or just simply a team that's good enough, they know the likely TP spots. You know they're either going to TP directly onto them, or TP and try to directly take the other high ground instead. So you kind of just have to flip the coin on which it's going to be, and Lucky Shots has been a fan of just kind of just TPing directly onto them and just taking the aggression. So I hope they do it again, and well, the TP is dead. That is not gonna work.
A little unfortunate. They're just gonna have to rotate to point now.
They're gonna have that was 3 ultimates. The Shatter comes online. Andrew likely going to drop. They managed to survive the pin. They still had a bit of the beat there at the end, and now they're just gonna be drained away slowly but surely. You do manage to catch Kyo, but Kyo's gonna get back before anybody else can. And now Lucky Shots has the choice. Do you try to rush to this point? You try to make a last fight happen.
Me personally, we go next. You know, it seems like right now Lucky Shots is just a little bit scrambled. And that's okay, that happens. Flashpoint is a map where you can really get scrambled. They just need to collect themselves, get ready, and I think they have to move to the next point. I'm not sure about touching this point. Well, they are going to touch it.
Yeah, they got that initial touch as the TP comes through. Sonic Void already super low, but Tykes already found a pick of their own. But once again, Misted going to drop early. That's a trend with a lot of these fights. But Vespa King going down means that Lucky Shots does have a fighting chance in this matchup. You just need to come together on one target, especially someone like Big Stick, who eventually is going to go down. And it's looking like finally Lucky Shots going to come away with a fight win, albeit a little late into the scenario, but 99%, it's great, but you lose pretty much all of your bank to win that one fight.
Pat, call me a hater and a loser. Just go ahead, call me a hater and a doubter, because I am a hater and a doubter. Lucky Shots able to take that point there. I'm a little bit surprised. It did take a lot of resources from them to take it, but they can maybe exchange those resources for Louisiana Lobsters. Louisiana Lobsters coming up on 3 ults here, and I think it should be an easy retake for them, but that means they're going into the next point with much less ultimates.
I mean, literally all Vespa has to do is hit a flux and it's over. Like,
and there it is.
It's going to come up. They're going to get a ton of people low. The freeze is going to be thrown on top of it. And they are going to catch everybody. That's Joe. It's Jover. It's Jover. They're going to freeze up on point. But right now, you're kind of just buying time for everybody to spawn a little bit quicker and set up for the 3rd point. So now Lucky Shots has to take the gamble. Do they go to the point behind them, or do they go over on the far side? And luckily for them, it is going to be on the far side. So Lucky Shots does have a chance to get this point first.
Vespa King on iconically confused. I always get that flashpoint throwing my cursor around. Where am I going? But Lucky Shots at least able to get some ults out from Louisiana Lobsters there at the very least. Louisiana Lobsters is still going to be coming in with their overclock and probably coming up on their window beat as well. Lucky Shots is just going to have to take this quick.
Yeah, I was surprised Lucky Shots didn't get to that point first, but Dafa going to use their window aggressively, but they're so low already, and Andrew with the overclock managing to find 3 at the 4K there at the very end. Andrew pops off on that fight. Louisiana Lobsters gonna be starting out with the 3rd point here, and right now their ultimate rotation is just so clean right now.
Hunter, I fear they just windowed at spawn, I think they may have just used their window at their spawn. Or did they use it last fight? Okay. I misheard. Alright. Well, yeah, Andrew pop off. It happens. They were also in a better position for that overclock as well, so.
There's no way you solo shatter. There's no way you do it to him. They do it for the solo shatter, and they don't even pin the opponent that they shattered. They committed to the backline, but Kyo already managed to find Dafa. By the way, Kyo has just been an absolute assassin on Dafa. I think they've had like most of the final blows on them. Kyo has a very personal grudge against Dafa, I think.
I would be so mad. I'd be screaming in comms, guys, there's a Lucio on me. But right there, we see Lucky Shots. Kind of, I think they're in a bit of a panic mode. That's kind of what I'm seeing. They're pushing through this choke. They haven't forced any abilities. They see a window and they just engage on the window. I think they need to start making some more rotations and maybe forcing out abilities before they keep pushing so hard. You know, it seems like Louisiana Lobsters is always ready for them.
Yep, it's going to be a free flip though. It's only going to find Misted. There's not going to be enough damage to be able to take them down for the time being. And now they're going to invest the B kind of early into this fight, but finding Kyo, it is a heck of a way to start it out. But again, they need to come together on a target because there's a ton of 1v1s happening all over the place, but you're not the kind of team that wants to take these heavy 1v1s. You want to come together on one target, and with Vespa King going down, you put yourself in a good opportunity to win that fight. And with 40% and counting, they're really just draining away because these people are dying so late. So now Lucky Shots is in that one fight territory to potentially start turning this one around.
Yeah, not a bad fight at all by Lucky Shots. It seems like they operate pretty well in these 99% overtime situations, which, hey, some teams are like that. They just need the stress. Using that mail was a really good idea just to secure that point there, but it is unfortunate that they won't have it for this next fight. Louisiana Lobsters is going to be coming in with their overclock, which we know can be deadly. Andrew is a little bit nasty with that overclock. So hopefully no early picks here. Lucky Shots can stabilize and take care of that overclock.
Literally just TP onto Andrew and end that. That is what you need to do. But they're so separated already. And in fact, Misted is up super far. Tiger gets really low, but Sonic Void actually going to be the first one to drop. And now this needs to be the biggest shatter in history. And in fact, it slaps the wall as hard as it can. Unfortunately, the wall is not a shatterable object. The pin going to eventually find Vespican. Andrew just finding some purchase in the backline, still desperately low. And the turret ends up taking them out. So now this is winnable right now. Stick is trying to be able to get through this. The window going to get infested. They're getting super low, trying to hop around the high ground, eventually going to be taken out, but is going to use the Immortality Field to be able to keep Kyo open for a little bit while longer. That pin going to find Kyojun, and they are going to get them, but the freeze comes through, but they can't get the touch again. Lucky Shots barely come away with that one and keep their chances alive here on New Queen Street, New Junk City. Well, shoot.
I cannot say I have a lot of faith in that Window and Blizzard choice. That's 2 ults down the drain for Louisiana Lobsters in a fight that was looking like it was going to be lost. You know, that Window came out with, I believe, only 2 people left on the point for the Lobsters. So that's unfortunate for the Lobsters coming into this next point where Lucky Shots will have 4 ults coming up. They have 4 ults that are at their disposal and that they can use quickly and very effectively and just sweep this point and maybe keep it going for them. Make it to 2-2, you know, maybe I'm a little presumptuous.
Well, that is going to get aggressive. Kyojun, again, going to be the first one to kind of go down the scenario. That pin ends up knocking Vespican off the map. Andrew finds Sonic Void, but they are going to get the first touch here, the first cap. Lucky Shots, a nice little scenario there where Andrew is going to get staggered out just a tiny bit. Lucky Shots, the momentum is finally on their side now. You can...
Oh.
What?
Okay. Maybe
Wow.
just... Okay, ego shatter.
I'm done. I'm done giving compliments. I'm done.
Me neither. Lucky Shots, that was all luck. It was all luck. No, in reality, that was a really well played by Lucky Shots. And even Misted had a fantastic pin there. Reinhardt boops better than Lucio, man, in Overwatch 2. But coming in now without their shatter, they still have 3 ults online. But will it be enough to beat Louisiana Lobsters' 2 very good ults?
That is not a good wall, unfortunately. It's going to be convenient because you are cutting off members. Tykes are going to be able to survive that flux. In fact, everybody's going to survive it with the beat they use on top of it. In fact, the Window as well, they're going all out with this investment. And right now, Vespican in a scenario where they could be burned away as Misted going to manage to find that onto Stick. And in fact, Lucky Shots with this scenario, looks like they're going to be bringing us up to 2-2 right now with Kyo, the Lone Ranger, left on the point to try to stall things out a bit longer. But now Lucky Shots, they've kept themselves in this. They've come back from that 0-2. And now it's all going to be decided here at point number 5. Lucky Shots with a great opportunity here.
Theo killed Dafa there in the end again. God, I'd be so mad. Like 5 people on the point, but he still gets them. Anyways, Lucky Shots had an ult advantage there. Even with wasting that shatter, ego shatter, they could still win that fight. And I'm proud of my boys here. 2-2, this last point is going to be a difficult one. Louisiana Lobsters coming up on that mail. Gonna have to see how Lucky Shot is going to deal with it with no ult online.
Misted has absolutely no fear in the front line, by the way. I know they died a lot in these scenarios, but they have absolutely 0 fear. And now that shatter could be the difference between taking this point and not. With that freeze, Misted has no way of getting out of that situation, and they're going to end up going down. It's really hard to come back from that situation. The cap also not going to come through either. Actually ends up killing in the end. So we're going to have a big point 1 scenario where Lucky Shots is just going to try to stall on point for as long as they possibly can, but they actually just opt to, well, I was going to say opt to get out, but again, they just go back and forth for the stall. Eventually going to lock in at about 24, 25. So much! They're getting so much off of it. They get to 29%. It's pretty decent overall. And Lucky Shots with a lot of ultimates to be able to make this next fight theirs.
Pikes are coming in there and just stalling for an extra 10 whole percent. But hey, 30%, that's not bad. That's actually almost a whole fight there. So Lucky Shots coming in with their own mail and a shatter and the wall and the window. Hopefully they can just use those ults effectively like Louisiana Lobsters just did with them with that mail. Finding Misted there super early is just really bad for Lucky Shots, and when he falls, it seems like the rest of the team follows suit.
This has to be the biggest shatter of Misted's life. The shatter comes up, but it's gonna get drained away. Misted did not stand a chance against that window. As we're gonna see Not Brawny find a pick, and right now, Not Brawny, if they get out, this is massive, but they're going to die super late. So now, I think Lucky Shot's only chance to really get a good point touch here is just a TP from Sonic Void.
Yeah, they're gonna have to TP and just use ults here. It was really unfortunate that that shatter missed, but Lucky Shots luckily has other ults online. The only problem is, so does Louisiana Lobsters. They have that Flux and Bastion ult, which is notoriously a deadly combo. And ult misses! Tykser! Oh, that is so unfortunate for the Lucky Shots. Oh my god.
Yeah, and now Louisiana just gonna hit the Q button, hit everything. There's no way to survive that now. It's a really unfortunate situation. It might end up being the backbreaker as Louisiana Lobsters now up 3-0 in the series. One map away from moving on to the semifinals and one map away from sending Lucky Shots out in the quarterfinals. Such an unfortunate scenario.
It was just so unlucky. I mean, for a team named Lucky Shots, they seem to have a lot of unlucky plays, missing their shatter because they get booped up in the air by a Bastion bomb. I'd be fuming. I'd be breaking my monitor. My monitor would be broken by now. Missing their mail because they TP'd into the hole. It's just, oh, I'd be so disappointed right now for Lucky Shots. I can only imagine how boomed they are right now. But it's 3-0. First to 4. All they have to do is win a map and then snowball it from there. Easiest games of their life. That's all I have to say. Lucky Shots, you've got this in the bag.
Yeah, they're on that scenario in front of them. But we are, of course, going to take our halftime break. When we come back, we are going to have the lovely choice of everybody's favorite map type push. Everybody just loves push, don't they? But
I do. I love push.
Oh, man. But Lucky Shots going to have their opportunity to start bringing it back. Can they pull out the reverse sweep? It's more than a 0% chance. So make sure you stick around and see if it happens. We'll see you after halftime.
Smash that. I like your little games? I do. Do you want me to come play them too? Do I like your little games? I do. Do you want me to come play them too? Do I like your little games? I do. Do you want me to come play them too? Do I like your little games? I do. Do you want me to come play them too? Do I like your little games? I do. Do you want me to come play them too? Do I like your little games? I do. Do you want me to come play them too? Do I like your little games? I do. Do you want me to come play them too? Do I like your little games? I do. Do you want me to come play them too? I think we break the rules. 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 I think we break the rules.
Lucky Shots looking down the barrel of elimination as we speak. Louisiana Lobsters just one map away from clinching their spot into the semifinals, but it's not over until we see that 4 on the screen. Everybody, welcome back from halftime. Of course, we've had a bit of a series on our hands here where Louisiana Lobsters had a couple of dominant maps thus far. But, Machi, if we want to talk about, New Junk City, Lucky Shots really kind of came back in that map and made it their own and just barely lost with that 0.5.
Yeah, I will have to say the errors they made there, I think were game losing. And that's really unfortunate. That's the worst situation to be in as a team, when you make mistakes that you know you could do better. You know, like missing a shatter, missing a blizzard, those are the worst feelings in the world. And I'm really feeling for Lucky Shots right now. I can imagine that might boom them. And this is key. They need to not get boomed right now. It's 3-0, and that's very, very dangerous for them. It's looking scary, but hey, Now you can sit there and say we got nothing to lose, okay? It's 3-0. Let's just go out there, do our best, and maybe try and pull this back. Sorry.
Yeah, you kind of have to, like, in the scenario, especially when you're like kind of like the lower seeded team, you kind of have to get rid of that thought of expectations sometimes, especially when you go down in this real situation. Like your mind typically is gonna gravitate towards, oh, it's already over. Like, how are we gonna come back from this? They've been beating us down. But you do have to kind of just maintain like a healthy kind of a mindset, regardless of how it's going to go down. Because regardless of all that goes down, I know it's tough for teams when they get knocked out of the playoffs or lose a match, but you do have to remember that, you know, this is you know, not the end. This is just, you know, you're out for the season, but there's still other seasons to come. There are more opportunities, but for now, they're going to give it all they've got, as we're going to have another map pick from the side of Lucky Shots, and we're going over to the good old map of Esperanza. Very easily the best push map out there, and in fact, I think it's going to have the most opportunity for Lucky Shot to kind of pull out these comps, but the question is this really the best place to run that Ryan-style comp, or is something else cooking in the kitchen?
That's what I'm thinking. I'm smelling a little something come from the kitchen right now, because Esperanza is not the traditional map you see for a Rhine pick, right? Sigma can work on Esperanza. You can take those high grounds and kind of AFK up there. But Reinhardt, you kind of have to pass through these large spaces where you can just be shot down upon by Sigma, Sojourn, you can get walled by May, whatever, anything in the world could happen to a poor Rhine team just trying to cross a big patch of land to the promised land. So maybe with the Esperanza pick, okay, we haven't seen it yet, but dive is still in the cards. Okay, it's in the cards. It could happen. It could happen.
I love dive, but here's the problem. Bastion is a character in the game called Overwatch 2, and unfortunately, the moment they go Bastion, if you're running a Winston, it is literally over. You have no shot of making that dive happen. So you kind of just go out on the dive, and you just kind of have to hope that they're not running the Bastion in return, because if they are, and you're not even at least just running a Diva, I don't know what you're gonna do here. As Lucky Shots, it's the same comp. I don't think they're gonna swap it, but Louisiana Lobsters may be doing the slight trolling. This is literally the same comp that Lucky Shots rolled out with on the very first round of Esperanza, or not of Esperanza, of Samoa. So Louisiana Lobsters, they're just trying to rub it in the face now, perhaps, but they do swap it at the last second. Good on them to not rub it in the face.
That would have been so rude if they did that, and I would have hoped Lucky Shot could just roll them, but no, they're rolling out on the Sigma comp with the Genji. Genji is very good on Esperanza here, so that's going to be an extra hurdle for Lucky Shots to jump over. We're just going to have to hope that they can cross these large open spaces quickly, which they are. They're taking that first fight on the bridge.
Yep, they're going to take over that high ground for the time being. But right now, Louisiana knows to stay away as the TP is going to come through. Pyeongju right now having a 1v1 with the turrets, but is eventually going to win. But Tykes are going to find two of their own to start out this fight. So already Louisiana Lobster is going to be on the back foot, just going to have to back up and survive. Lucky Shots going to be the first team to start getting some progression here. And so far, a pretty good start, especially with Dafa already 70% to the amplification matrix.
Yeah, that was an excellent start from the Lucky Shots there. Like I said, you need to cross these big spaces very quickly, and they did. Louisiana Lobsters coming out with some big swaps here, immediately to the... wait, did they swap? Oh wait, yeah, they did. Sorry, I'm tripping. To the Lucio, to the Bastion, to the May, anything to just stop Lucky Shots from continuing on with this Rhine composition, especially that dreaded Bastion is out. But if Lucky Shots can keep playing quick, separating Louisiana Lobsters, they can still win this.
Yeah, but Missit is just going to get rained down now. They were on the point alone, so eventually they're just going to find the scenario to drop down, get rid of them. Andrew, they might drop, but I don't think it really matters. You already found the necessary picks, and Tykes are going to find a pick there at the end. Is going to help stall out just a little bit longer, but eventually going to lose it. But 41 meters, nothing to scoff at. It's a pretty decent start here for Lucky Shots.
Yeah, not a bad exit pick either. Exit picks are very good on Esperanza since you have such a large amount of space to cross. However, they will likely be getting back around the same time. Lucky Shot's going to be coming in with 2 ultimates online. Louisiana Lobster is going to have their own window and maybe coming up on this flux here. It's going to be a bit dangerous walking into this for Lucky Shots, as they could just get flux pretty much at any time, especially since they play so clumped up.
Yeah, but that's why it's so important that they have to try to take the aggression in the fight and make it happen. And that's actually going to be a really good freeze right there. You're going to manage to catch over onto Andrew, but the healing from the side of Thick Stick going to manage to keep him alive temporarily, and it's back and forth. Tykes has found one thing to try to bring this back, but Keo is just kind of the king of final blows, unfortunately, for Lucky Shots, because unfortunately Misted not going to be able to get out. Louisiana Lobsters likely to get the advantage here over Lucky Shots, but, you know, they have more than enough time to touch before this checkpoint comes online.
Yeah, not a bad fight by Lucky Shots at all, but they unfortunately did get split there. They got split by the Sigma, and while they did also split the Lobsters just took advantage of that split a little bit better, and Lucky Shots was kind of slow to taking care of that BAP, so unfortunately Andrew didn't go down soon enough. Also, Lobsters backing off here. Interesting plays.
Yeah, and they go back and forth for the timing, which, you know, not the worst idea in the world, but the problem is you're kind of just standing here as the wall is going to come out. The freeze on top of it, though, going to try to pin out of there, but both of the supports are frozen for the side of Lucky Shots. That beat going to keep you alive temporarily, and in fact, Brawny manages to survive as the beat gets thrown back in return, but Louisiana has already lost 2 of their members. Lucky Shots going to come back and win this fight. Hyunjun just trying to live out a little bit of stall, and now Lucky Shots should be able to get the advantage now and are going to be very close to getting that checkpoint. They just need to get something really bad with really good with this shatter from Misted.
Yeah, Lobsters play not working out exactly how they maybe wanted it to, with 2 excellent ults from Lucky Shots, that sim wall, plus that beat, able to keep everybody alive through the mail was excellent play, and they get the checkpoint here. That's big for Lucky Shots.
That's basically for free as well, and now Louisiana Lobster also gave up their side of the high ground instead of trying to play for it. Now they're on the even playing field. Misted has a shatter. Tixer has this freeze ready to go as long as Misted can survive this, and they get boomed up in the air, but they're going to survive thanks to the immortality field. Misted, though, eventually going to drop a Lucky Shot, still in a good scenario to potentially win this fight as the freeze is going to come online. Andrew going to get caught, deleted. Tixer going to find one of their own. Everybody putting in the work as Lucky Shots just going to keep building up that meterage, and Misted shouldn't be too far behind now.
Lucky Shots playstyle right now is very funny to me because they almost have Misted on the bot as a sacrificial lamb. The rest of them just TP to high ground and they're like, Misted, you can deal with them. And so Misted unfortunately gets the full brunt of the Bastion and the Mei and the Sigma and the BAP just all shooting him. They're doing it again, just having Misted try and occupy the bot while the rest of them stay safe on high ground. They have a window here. If they can pop a good window, they might be able to win.
Yeah, and not Brawny getting that first pick onto Thick. Not Brawny wants to be the loose jet that gets the final blows this time around. And just like that, Louisiana going to get pushed back once more. Vespa King not going to be able to escape with their lives. Lucky Shots really making this comp work now. They're getting up to 90 meters and counting. They should be able to get to 100 as well. Lucky Shots, this is how you play this comp.
Exactly. Lucky Shots, this is what it looks like when this team is not making mistakes with their ultimates. They are using them properly and effectively, and look at this. They're understanding when they need to back out and just TP to the high ground. It's simple. They can do it every time, but there still is nothing that the Lobsters can do. Also, Lobsters matching them on the Reinhardt. Vespa King getting a little bit mad maybe that Lucky Shots is beating them on this Rein comp.
Yeah, definitely going to be able to survive as well. I'm not sure if they've used the immortality field as the beat's going to come online from Brawny. That wall going to separate them temporarily. Kid Victory does need to be able to get this game to level 3 as the freeze is going to come out aggressively from Hyunjun. And in fact, it's going to catch on to 3 members. None of them likely to survive. And with 2 already down, you need to die on this point if you're Lucky Shots. Every single person needs to. And with that, most of them should get the close spawn, but that might be a tough scenario for Tixer and Brawny.
Yeah, Louisiana Lobsters are maybe going to be able to get short spawn here. There's a possibility that they can get the checkpoint and maybe take their advantage back. Lucky Shots just needs to be able to set up in a position optimal for them here and kind of take this fight like they've been taking every other fight. They TP to the high ground. That's a bit aggressive for them.
Yeah, but it's sometimes the choice you have to make is Dafa manages to find Thick Stick again. Again, that has been the person to go down a lot of the time, but in fact, in the back line, they've just been capping, and in fact, they've got the butt scratch as well. So while Louisiana is going to eventually lose this fight, Lucky Shots is going to have to take a much quicker battle here. Everybody from Louisiana going to be able to come back through the close spawn, and Andrew gonna head over to the Sojourn now.
Yeah, I think Andrew is just most comfortable on that Sojourn, though you do now kind of lose the punishability onto Misted. Lobsters, getting that checkpoint is big for them, but Lucky Shot still, I think, has a big advantage over them. The beat comes out from Lobsters on high ground. Was somebody about to die? Or was that a fat finger?
I have no idea, but that card is moving, by the way, and in fact, it's collecting meterage, and somehow Lucky Shots has still won this fight. 108 meters and counting, and right now, they're just still fighting pick after pick. Lucky Shots has just come alive here. Andrew gonna go down. We're looking at 120 meters and counting. 4 ultimates coming online. Lucky Shots over 70 meters ahead now. This is insane.
I mean, Esperanza is notoriously the comeback push map, but this is an insane lead over the Lobsters, like you said. Lucky Shots is just, I'm sorry, they're outplaying the Misted. Misted's looking for the flank shatter, but he maybe has to get out here.
Don't do it.
No, he can't do it quite yet. He's got to be patient.
You need to just zone out. You need to try to survive as you're needed of 4, and they're going to be able to live temporarily. This is going to completely back up, but it's going to be aggressive. The shatter comes through. It's fine. Multiple members. But damage on both sides being thrown around. Brawny gonna go through the shatter. Gonna come up that wall. It's a little unfortunate. They're still gonna manage to fight it, but Lucky Shots somehow has still brought this fight back in their favor, forcing the rest of Louisiana to slowly back up the pin, trying to find some receipts. Andrew eventually going to drop. Lucky Shots bring back that fight somehow, some way.
Lucky Shots are playing push very, very intelligently right now. They're understanding we are a Rhine comp. Let's play our Rhine comp to its optimal level, and they give Vespa King. Vespa King's just trying to touch the point there. The ults are coming out from both sides.
They're going to finish this map. They're going to freeze. Pyeongju needs to be able to find the shatter, but they're going to be taken out so quickly, drained away, so close to being able to get the full cap here, and Lucky Shots. That is the exclamation point that they needed, and now they have started the process of the reverse sweep. A rather dominant performance here on Esperanza. Now they're going to have their first map, 3 to go still. But still, what a fantastic start we have here for Lucky Shots.
Yeah, I mean, that was amazing showing by Lucky Shots there. We definitely saw the signs of life right there. Lucky Shots was playing so fast, I couldn't even do my analysis of their fights. So that's exactly what we want to see. We want to see them running in, being decisive, using those ults correctly and effectively, and just kind of running laps around the enemy team. It's just been amazing to see Lucky Shots come back like this. Like I said, a 3-0 is like an incredible mental boom, you know? But clearly, Lucky Shots is not boomed. They're getting their act together, they're using those ults correctly, and they're playing successfully, obviously.
Yeah, but this is unfortunately where the situation is going to grow even tougher, because you managed to play the push, a map that is very preferential to a style like Brawl. But unfortunately, our next map type is going to be Escort, which might be the worst thing for a Brawl style comp, especially depending on what kind of map they want to bring it towards, because if it is something like Route 66, I think you still create this ability to still kind of run the Rhine style, and you might force it regardless of the map, honestly. That wouldn't surprise me in the slightest, but Louisiana has the ability here to make Lucky Shots just really uncomfortable, to where they either have to try to force the Rhine comp in a bad situation, or go back over to a different style composition, which, from what we've seen so far, Lucky Shots' best comp is that Rhine style, so realistically, it would put them on something weaker, so Louisiana has a lot of power in their hands right now.
Yeah, I think, like you said, Escort is probably the worst map type for Brawl. There's just not a lot of Escort maps that you can pull off the Brawl on. I do assume they're still going to play it. They've been playing it on any map that wouldn't typically be Brawl. I think they're just relying on that sim TP to get them where they need to go. But Escort, there's a lot of maps out there that are beneficial towards the Sigma comp. A lot of high grounds where you can just stay up there and just poke down on any Brawl teams. If you can't successfully get a TP somewhere where you can challenge that Sigma, then it's going to be kind of over for Lucky Shots here. I have faith, though.
Yep, we're going to have to see here, as we are going to have our map pick in, and who would have guessed we're going to be going over to Circuit Royale. And now, this is going to be a very interesting situation, because I think that I think that Lucky Shots is going to cook a little bit again here. I think it is 100% a possibility that they pull out the pharmacy on the attack this time around, and just trying to like play over the high ground, like boot people off the high ground, try to find a couple of important key picks. I think that's what Lucky Shots will definitely go for on their attack, but on their defense, that's where I think it's going to be the most up in the air style, so to speak, because you could try to play that corner aggressively with the Reinhardt, but the problem is, going against a poke comp, it's just nearly impossible to run them down in any kind of effective way. So I'm curious what they're going to try to do on their own defense. That's likely what they're going to start on, since it'll still be their choice if they want to attack or defend first. So maybe you honestly attack first and try to get some momentum running your style, either forcing TPs and forcing Louisiana into weird positions, or trying to run the pharmacy and just trying to have, that positional advantage that you have with that pharmacy. So I'm just curious which way they're going to go with it.
Yeah, I kind of honestly doubt they're going to pull out the Pharmacy. Pharmacy is kind of good on Circuit Royale because you can do some sneaky little things. But I think that we have seen through these games that Andrew is a phenomenal hit scan player. And that if they try and do something freaky, maybe they get one pick, but I think they'll just fall right after that. Or Lobsters will just play it correctly and just run in on the rest of their team. I mean, Poke is a little less susceptible to doing that. But we haven't seen this team really play Poke. I mean, they've been playing the Sigma comp, but not a Poke Sigma comp. So we're gonna have to see kind of how those things differ. Poke is good into Brawl, so it's gonna be unfortunate for Lucky Shots here, and I think they're probably expecting it. They're probably expecting it to get poked out, and like you said, I think they maybe try and pull something out, but quite honestly, I'm kind of expecting them to just go on the Symmetra, try and TP to get through some of those open lanes, and then try and take somebody down. If they can close that gap, there's always the chance that they can just, I don't know, run on a Widowmaker, run on like we're seeing on Lucky Shot.
They're attacking first. They're just trolling. Don't worry.
Okay. Woof. Lobsters coming out.
What the?
On the Rhine.
Listen. Lucky Shot, I know you can hear me. I know you hear the comms right now. Go Pharmacy right now. Go Pharmacy. They cannot stop you. This is your chance. Do this. I'm willing to make a small bet that they're going to turn this corner. They're just gonna see what's going on. They're gonna say, "Oh, screw that. We're just gonna go that instead."
This is a little bit baffling. I can't lie. Wait. Oh no. This attacking team is not Lucky Shots. It's the Lobsters.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We have. Apologies, everybody. We have our names swapped here. We're seeing what we actually. Yes. Okay. The names are swapped. The Lucky Shots are the ones playing the Rhine comp. The Lobsters are playing a little bit of an odd comp here, rolling out. They rolled out on the Roadhog, but now they're on the Sigma. They're playing that Poke comp, kind of as expected. Sorry, guys, a little bit of a mix-up there. But hopefully, Lobsters can. This is just a weird game.
Let's be real for a second. The worst case, this is buying you a ton of time. They're gonna run down a couple of members in the backline, but right now, here's the problem. Now, Lucky Shots has put themselves in a weird position, but you managed to find Keo. That is exactly the kind of ultimate you want. And now, if you can just go together as a 4-unit on the Vespa King and kind of drain them away, you can definitely still take this fight. And like I said, you're just draining away clock, and that wall is gonna work to perfection. But Kid Victory dropping takes away the TP. That means they can no longer contest the high ground, which means Andrew is going to be able to get away scot-free, taking whatever angle they please. And right now, Louisiana, or Lucky Shots more so, just have to try to hold on for as long as they can on this corner.
Yeah, Lucky Shots, they've been playing this correctly thus far. You know, making these long rotations in the buildings. Oh no, the tire! Oh, there it is. But taking these long rotations, playing within the buildings, the window comes out, maybe to try and stop Lobsters from pushing up here, but it's just not gonna work. Misted falls.
Yeah, and I appreciate them, they can get a little bit of stall out, but I think you let that go a little too far, so I think Lucky Shot's actually going to have a bit of a tough scenario trying to drop down on this effectively. They might just set up a TP in the backline if they have time, honestly.
Yeah, I think there is time definitely for a recontest here. It's going to be a tough one. Lobsters has an advantage with this flux here. If they even try and touch the point, like we're seeing now, they're just going to flux it.
Good beat though. The Shatter comes out. I don't think it caught anybody. It did catch one person, I believe, as the freeze is going to come back online. And in fact, they're going to heavily invest into this fight. But right now, we see the nice investment work out. Kyo going to be the only survivor, but that is just temporarily. Eventually going to jump off the cliff on their own accord. And right now, Lucky Shots making this comp work. 120 left in the time bag. And Lucky Shots, they used a lot of ultimates to try to win that fight as well.
Yeah, I think that was maybe a blessing in disguise that Bronny had gotten picked in the fight prior, so he couldn't use the beat, and then he was able to use the beat with the flux and save his team and let them re-engage and win that fight there. So Lucky Shots just got to play this around this corner. This is not necessarily a bad position for a Reinhardt to be in, right? They can play this corner around this payload and still hold down the fort, maybe run on somebody, but they're kind of in dangerous territory with the overclock coming online for Louisiana Lobsters.
Yep, Andrew's going to be the big key fighter in this fight coming up here. The overclock could be absolutely devastating. As they come on the side, trying to find one of the members of Lucky Shots. Right now, nothing quite yet on the clock. Andrew just flying around the map, trying to find somebody, but we see a really good job here done by Lucky Shots to be able to zone that out. But unfortunately, we are going to see Dafa drop as we actually are going to see the target taken away. And just like that, Lucky Shots still in this right now. 4-4, trying to get the shield back online. Bronny has the beat, and they're going to get aggressive with it here. They're going to try to run it down. The wall not going to catch anybody for the moment, but Thick Sticks gets very low, and Kyo maybe thought that fight was already over. And just like that, time is ticking away. Louisiana has to force their way onto this point. I don't know if they realize quite yet, because they're not going to make it. And Lucky Shots commits the full hold. What?
That is just impressive for Lucky Shots right here. That has to be a major morale booster. Once again, they're coming off a win here, and they get a full hold on Circuit Royale, which was supposed to be the Lobsters map. I would be boomed if I were the Lobsters right now. They were just not able to really get their foot in the door, while Lucky Shots was just coming back with better ultimates. We saw Lobsters come out on the Junkrat, and I just have to say, I'm not sure that that was the pick to make. The tire ended up getting broken, wasn't able to find a pick there. I don't think it was worth it, you know?
I think the initial pick on the Junkrat was the right pick. The initial, during the first couple of fights, where you're just trying to force Lucky Shots out of their room, I think that was the right call. But I think as soon as things opened up way more, I think you would have been better off going over towards something like the Mei, or perhaps even the Hanzo, the Ashe, even Widow, honestly. But now we're to see Lucky Shots as that's a nice little pharmacy they have on their attack, Maji. Weird.
Who could have guessed that? Who could have foreseen that? Neither of us, that's for sure. Lucky Shots rolling out on the pharmacy with a D.Va. D.Va's interesting. Maybe they're expecting that Bastion pick, and maybe they're just gonna defense matrix that Bastion down. Definitely an interesting comp coming out. I think Lucky Shots just gonna try and throw some things at the wall here, see if they can push. All they have to do is make it to the end of first point.
Yep, and honestly, they might only give this one or maybe two tries, as Misted likely going to go over the top as soon as they invest into this. Yeah, they're going to go up and above. They're just going to flip the high ground away. The TP going to be brought out, but they're not going to be able to take it, so now this team's going to be split. Misted eventually going to go out of the mech and likely go down. But here's the good side. You are managing to get a ton from the trade. Tyxer manages to find two of their own. They're draining away in the backline. The Vespa just doesn't have the healing to be able to survive. They're bobbing and weaving, but eventually just going to be burnt out. And that ends up working out fantastic for Lucky Shots. They're likely going to stick with this comp for one more long fight, as Misted going to go to the Doomfist.
I loved that Lucky Shots play right there. They had half of their team go one side, other half on the other side. Louisiana Lobsters had nowhere to go. They either back up into a Pharmacy or they walk into a Symmetra with a support. So, like, what can you really do? I liked that play a lot. Pincer them, don't allow them to really find a target with that Sigma. Sigma's really hard to play when you're pincered. So, fantastic play by Lucky Shots. We'll have to see what they do with this Doomfist, who gets stunned and then taken down by a Bastion. It's not a good day to be a Doomfist.
No, unfortunate situation, and I don't know if Doomfist is going to be the right call here. I know you want to try to put yourself in a situation to kind of help out Tyxer and Dafa with that Pharmacy situation, but I don't know if you're going to get as much value on this as you think you will.
Yeah, Chio's got that Goth Iliari skin, so I already know it's over for our poor Pharmacy duo here. Just kidding. The Doomfist might be a little bit of a bad pick there. We saw him get picked early there, but they do find Chio in exchange. That's going to be more valuable for the Lucky Shots than losing their tank. Their tank will be back, and back on Zarya, question mark.
That's actually, I think, a really good pick overall, because you're actually going to be able to kind of go at Vespa King running this Zarya style, because remember, the eat that Vespa King has on that Sigma, Mystic can kind of beam directly through that. So we have a scenario where if they get a lot of charge, this could end up being very dangerous, as Andrew just got to keep playing that corner heavily. Tyxer has that barrage ready to go, and the barrage can be a death sentence sometimes, but they're going to heavy invest into the spike. We're going to see it come out. The Flux going to try to find something. We're going to see the barrage come down. It's going to find the one. Looking for the second. That gets eaten away, though. Keeping those members alive as Tiger eventually going to go down. And since they die so far in the backline, they're not going to be able to res them either. So Misted just trying to survive to the best of their ability. A lot of damage being thrown their way, but they're going to survive for the time being. But Thick Six going to be the next one to drop. Misted has a ton of charge. And right now, if they can just drain down the last couple of members here, they can come away with this. But right now, it's a little bit back and forth. Mystic going to stay alive temporarily, trying to drain away, but unfortunately not able to make the magic happen. Lucky Shots being pushed back. In what was once a promising scenario is now a minute away from them losing their spot. Louisiana holding on strong still.
It was just unfortunate for Misted there, kind of duking it out with the Sigma, but then Andrew comes in and just shreds him down, and that is the problem with Zarya. Zarya, like you said, is really good with this high charge against a Sigma, and also keeping that frontline presence, strong, but Andrew, if he has turret mode, it's pretty much over for Misted. Misted just dies.
Yes, they're gonna invest it. The TP's going to come through, and in fact, he gets split up. Oh no! Kid Victory's in the backline, and they don't have the ability to stay alive anymore. And now it's down to Misted to be able to try and get this ready to go, but unfortunately they're so low. The healing is just being dumped onto them. 98, 99. They're going to have it here in a second. It's gonna get thrown down, but Vespa King was hungry, and they ate that third dinner. Definitely going to be the next one to drop. And just like that, it's all falling apart. What was a promising full hold, Louisiana Lobsters do it just a little bit better. Lucky Shots going to be knocked out of the bracket. Louisiana Lobsters moving on to the semifinals.
You have to be proud of that showing if you're Lucky Shots. Unfortunately, you do lose here, but I have to say, full holding this team on first point Circuit Royale, where you seem to be at a disadvantage, their map choice, it's still impressive, and they should still be patting themselves on the back for that. Unfortunately, yeah, Louisiana Lobsters comes in with a comp. Seems like Lucky Shots just didn't know how to deal with it, They kept swapping up their tank pick, and they just couldn't really nail down their exact playstyle. And I think, like I said, for that first point, push for the Lucky Shots, they kind of won by pincering that team. But once they came to that corner, Pharmercy couldn't really get behind them anymore. So Pharmercy just had to poke the same angle as the front line, and therefore, the Lobsters weren't pincered at all. So that's probably how they were able to hold that point, as well as denying some major ultimates, like eating that Graviton Surge. Just so unfortunate for the Lucky Shots. And I do think this team is amazing, and that they could have come out on top, but Lobsters were just on their A game today and took them down here. So fantastic job by the Lobsters, adapting to some weird plays, playing fast, and being able to play that Sigma comp effectively. It's what you have to do in this meta.
Yeah, I think the one thing I really want to point out, because what we saw there, about midway through, there was 2 minutes left, and it looked like Lucky Shots was going to come away with the win, because we see the barrage come through, it catches on to Andrew, but Vespa King, they're able to hold out. They have their cooldown ready to go, and they managed to keep Thick Stick alive, which in turn keeps the rest of Louisiana Lobster alive. I think that play is the definitive play, and it's not as noticeable as something like eating the grab or, just hitting a big freeze. It's these micro plays that you kind of see through here that are just so freaking effective, as we are going to quickly look over our whole journey here today of the 5 maps we got to experience. And at the end of the day, while we did have a couple that weren't particularly close, especially when we talk about something like Samoa, which unfortunately, for Lucky was a really good map for the Lobsters. We saw the fight back come from this team. Midtown, they end up finishing that map, but just can't do anything on their second attack. And New Junk City, they come back from being down at a 0-2 deficit, just can't make it happen in the end. But then we saw some utter dominance from Esperanza. We saw how tough this team can be, how good they are at this Ryan style, but unfortunately going over to Circuit Royale, despite them managing to pull off a miraculous full hold, Louisiana Lobsters, they held strong to their mental, to their rotations, and they managed to clutch it out. A nice 4-1 victory for Louisiana Lobsters, and they've locked themselves into the semifinals.
Yeah, big congratulations to the Louisiana Lobsters here. And like you said, Lucky Shots should not be disappointed in their performance today. Of course, disappointed that you lose, and you're out. but not disappointed in these individual maps. Samoa was unfortunately dominant. You saw them roll out in the Roadhog Sombra, which just was not a good choice, I don't think. But the rest of their maps actually were really close, and they put up an amazing fight. I'm proud of my team, Lucky Shots. But Louisiana Lobsters, big congratulations. You guys played amazing, and we can't wait to see you further on in this tournament.
Yep, definitely so. And now we'll see them. We're eventually find out who they're going to be up against. And obviously, we have some results that have kind of come through here. I'm not sure if we have them officially ready to go, but if not, I could definitely kind of read off how things have gone outside of this matchup, because a couple of our matches are also already done and being done in very quick fashion as well, because we have a lot more of our semifinals decided. As Space Created, the #1 seed, ended up beating Spirits 4-0. And Clairvoyance ended up beating Phantom Limb as well 4-0. So a couple of 4-0s on the board. So definitely Lucky Shots not doing as bad as they could have. Like I said, a whole lot of fight in the scene. We're just waiting back on one result, kind of see where things go from here in the full bracket of the semis. But we know 3 of them so far. And right now, these are some impressive teams that are still alive, still fighting to try to win that title. And I think any of these teams have a fighting chance at this point.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be very interested to see the Louisiana Lobsters hopefully keep moving on through this bracket. They had a tough first game, in my opinion, even though Lucky Shots was in some of the lower seeds. They clearly weren't a bad team at all. So being able to beat this team 4-1, obviously it's not a 4-0, but it is a 4-1. So that is a pretty significant victory. I'm excited to see them moving further on, and I'm excited to see them fight some higher seed teams here. See how they do against our top seed team, and see if the Lobsters will come out on top here.
Yeah, we're definitely going to have to see here. It'll be a very exciting time, because obviously it's the playoffs. It's a very exciting time. But for this week though, things are going to be done with the quarterfinals. Everybody has done their matches. Obviously, we have one still finishing, but we'll obviously know the results of that later on. We'll have brackets posted. You can usually find them on the Twitter. So for this week, that's going to be it. But remember, that's not it. That's just the quarterfinals. We're still going to have the semis and eventually the grand finals the week after that. So make sure you tune in next week. It's going to be a fantastic time, and we'll see you all there. So for now, have a good night, and we'll catch you next time.
See you guys.
Check this out.